Don't tell me anything about it. And then lunch is too good. Stop right now.
Oh boy.
It could be something different. And then we're gonna have to fast on Sunday. Just fast to sleep also.
So it's a good thing.
Dream.
That's right.
And you cannot double dip.
That's right. Correct. So you would have had 3 fasts. Oh, that would have been bad. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are live and rolling here across the country and the world. Okay. Remember, guys?
You don't remember them.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Last night was not.
A very special mazel tov to Tommy Kraus, the grandchild's.
Grandson got married.
Yeah. So
That's over here.
and they're heading back to Bezrat Hashem tomorrow. So Teichem L'Shalom, L'Siyat Tova. It's good to have you here in person for the shiurim. Okay. Let's. Any other mazel tovs? Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, that's a good accomplishment. All right. So here we go. We were in the middle of Sif Daled in Reish Pei Ches. So Simon Reish Pei Ches. We were in Sif Daled. We were in the middle of the interesting topic of Tanis Chalom, about the fast that you take upon yourself due to a dream that occurs the night before. A disturbing dream, we'll call it, that sort of shakes you, and you're really uncomfortable by what you experienced. So we had said that if you do this on Shabbos, you would need to then not just fast on Shabbos, you would also then need to fast on Sunday in order to make up for the fact that you mevatel oneg Shabbos. And we said that the reason that's a thing is because likely the dream means nothing. It was not a Kodesh Baruch Hu sending you a sign. That's the rove of all dreams, so that's why you probably were mevatel a mitzvah of oneg Shabbos when you should not have been. And so, in order to do a kapara, an atonement for that, you're supposed to fast on the Sunday. It's called a ta'anis l'ta'anis, so a fast for his fast.
So basically saying not to fast if you have bad dreams.
Well, we're going to see actually that is going to be essentially the case in a moment. We'll see, maybe some exception, but generally speaking, yes, we're not to worry ourselves with it. But some people worry themselves with these things, and so the question is, if that's you, what do you do? So the last thing we had talked about, we had finished the Sif Katan test that if a Sunday that follows Shabbos was the day that you're not supposed to fast, like Hanukkah, like Purim, or it's a Yontif. So then you don't do that fast at that point. You would push it up until a later point, because you can't have the makeup fast create another problem. That you're fasting on Yontif or you're fasting on Hanukkah. These are days when it's usher. It is prohibited, strictly prohibited from fasting. So we're up to Sif Katan Yud now, which talks about Rosh Chodesh. What if Motzei Shabbos is Rosh Chodesh? It's Sunday Rosh Chodesh. Yeah.
If you had the dream on Hanukkah, you would fast on Hanukkah?
Yes, the same thing that it'd be like if we're willing to say that you would fast on Shabbos, you would fast on any other day as well. But you would also need to make up. But you would need to make it up. So like that was the last thing he points out in Sif Katan test. Look at the last phrase. He says, this is going back one line, everybody. So Aval Hamisara Tanis Chalom. Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim, Yom Tov Shein Shel B'Chol HaMoed. If you do a Tanis Chalom on one of those days because you had a bad dream on one night of the Chol HaMoed, right? Tzarich leMeisav Tanis l'Taniso. You need to make up the Tanis with another Tanis after Chanukah, after Yom Tov, whatever it might be. Yeah. Okay. Yud. Rosh Chodesh. So now we're going to zero in on Rosh Chodesh. Okay. About what if Sunday is Rosh Chodesh? So we said that this Rosh Chodesh is absolutely prohibited from fasting on Rosh Chodesh. You would need to make it up if you fasted on Rosh Chodesh because you had a Tanis Chal, you would need to make up. You would have to do kapara for fasting on that day because you're not supposed to fast on Rosh Chodesh. So, Vidavka, he says here, Sif Katan Yod, Vidavka she'ar Roshei Chodashim. Only other Rosh Chodeshes except for one. About Rosh Chodesh Nisan. But on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, The Magen Avraham says you could fast if that was the day after. So Rosh Chodesh Nisan fell on a Sunday. Go ahead, no problem, because there is a Tanis Tzadikim on that day. There's a fast that righteous people fast on the first of Nisan. Ayin Siman Taf Kuf Pei, and I took a look over there. Why is there a fast day? That's the siman that has to do with all the fast days that you might fast on, that we don't fast on, but you could have fasted on. What happened on Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Historically speaking, that was a tragedy in the Jewish history. Very good. Nadav and Avihu died on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That was the day of Hakamas HaMishkan, right? And the story goes that they died on that very day because they brought the Eish Zara. And so if you look at Shulchan Aruch and the Reish Pei, Taf Kuf Pei, he writes there that that's why some sort of, very pious people fast on Rosh Chodesh Nisan for this tragedy that occurred with Nadav and Avihu, their sons of Aharon.
But they were not, but Aaron was not allowed to fast.
Very good, Michael. Excellent. Very good. Yes. So that's true. Absolutely true. That may be, so to defend that position of those who might fast, they'll say, well, that's because he was the Kohen Gadol, and because of his position, he couldn't not do his job. And that's unique to the Kohen Gadol, by the way. That's very unique halacha to the Kohen Gadol. But it's a great point, Michael. Very good.
So I have an extension to that. If the Kohen Gadol can't do that, can the lower?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And we learn from Aharon having to do certain things what a regular Kohen or any other person would not be able to do in a state of aninus. Some of the halachos of being an onain, I learned exactly from this story about Aaron HaKohen, because he was an onain. The tragedy had just occurred, the burial hadn't happened yet, and there were certain expectations that were that were made of him that you wouldn't have thought if he had been actually observing the laws of being an onain. That's this time period between the death and the burial of a loved one.
So it was an exceptional situation.
It was an exception. So the situation was not your norm. Whatever. And we learned from this, right? He wasn't supposed to eat certain karbanos during that time. So, right, correct. So there are certain halachos we learned from that situation of Aharon being an onain. Yes, Simeon, go ahead.
Yes, Rav. I was taught, or I was always under the impression that a tanis cannot be on the same day when you're obligated to say a hallel, that there's an inherent conflict between the two. So I also do not understand, and I've never heard before, my shortcoming, I've never heard before this this kind of tanis.
So in that siman in Taf Kuf Pei, and I recommend anyone take a look at it later. And I'm just I'm pulling it up right now on my on my Safari app. I have it open from when I was preparing. Oops, nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the app itself. There we go. So here it says Elu Hayamim. I'm just reading from that siman. Elu Hayamim sheiru bahen saros laavoseinu v'roi lehisanos v'hem v'afal pisha miktsasam berosh chodesh yesh mi sheomer sheyisanu bo. Some people say even though some of these dates fall on Rosh Chodesh, you should fast them. And then it says further v'tov shelo lahashlim berosh chodesh. But on Rosh Chodesh, you shouldn't really complete the fast because Rosh Chodesh is not a day for fasting. So even here, you already see some discomfort with the fasting idea. But there were some who fasted. These ones are Be'echad B'Nisan, Mesu B'nei Aharon, Be'asarabo, Mesa Miriam. On the 10th of Nisan, that's when Miriam passed away. V'Nistalik HaBe'er, B'Chavavbo, Mes Yoshua Ben Nun. On the 26th of Nisan, that's when Yoshua passed away. Be'asar Be'ir, Mes Eli HaKohen, Ushnei Banav. And it goes through, and then it really goes through the Jewish history, all the way through, there's a calendar from the 1st of Nisan through Adar when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on the 7th of Adar, and some people observe a fast for that. So there's a whole list, and this is not as you see here. It says a Yesh Misha Omer that there are those that do this. This is what I call a Tanis.
No, not those. The singular.
Yesh Misha Omer. Sure, yes, there is an opinion that says you should fast. And who are the people who might do this? Maybe great, pious, tzaddikim. That's who are doing this. The average person, the Hamonam are not doing this, are not observing these fast days. But let's say you're one of those people, and you have a tanis chalom the day before on Shabbos because of a dream on Friday night that you had. If it's Sunday and it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan, well, boy, you're in luck. You can go ahead and double dip, and you don't have to push things off. You can enjoy your tanis, for Rosh Chodesh Nisan and for the makeup for the bittul Oneg Shabbos.
No,
But that's
you
only
don't
according to
have
the
to
Magen
make
Avram.
But you don't have to make up because it's Tanit Tzadikim.
That's right. So you would have been doing it anyways. That person, the
Right.
righteous person, yes.
He doesn't have to make it up.
That's why I said it's a double dip, right? Uva Tosefes Shabbos, Cholekal. The Tosefes Shabbos disagrees with the Magen Avram. The Hakasav Magen Avram Sham Lekaman, because the Magen Avram himself writes over there, Demi She'eno Rogel Hisanos Tanis Tzadikim. This is not what you usually do. You're not one of these like few people in the world who does this fast day. Then the Eira Lo Ezet Tzara Chas V'Shalom, and then some bad thing happens to you, and you're like, I need to fast, a personal fast. Forget the dream thing for a second. And it turns out that the day that things are going bad in your life, and I need to fast is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The Magen Avram himself says, Al Yisan Ebo. No, you shouldn't fast on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So he's like, come on, the Magen Avram here, even himself, even though he says you could, the Yochol Hisanos Bo. The Magen Avram himself is contradictory because he says if there's something bad happening in your life and the day that something bad is happening, the next day is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. He says don't fast on that day. Push it off another day.
He's not your custom.
Because that's not your custom. If that's not what you do, you don't suddenly just say you can do that. So it's only for the few people who maybe observe this fast, and I gotta imagine that today this fast is not observed at all. But across the board, I don't know if anybody here has ever heard of a person observing a fast on the 1st of Nisan. But if you fast on Rosh Chodesh, then you made a big mistake, and you actually have to fast again another day because you are mevatel the simcha of the day. If you didn't really observe and you didn't feel happy on that day. Rosh Chodesh is the day you're supposed to feel happy. Relates to, who was it? Simeon was the one who said this about the Hallel. The days that you're reciting Hallel, Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim, is maybe the Megillah is the Hallel, whatever. So you can't just be like, oh well, I'll make up my fast here on this day because it's convenient. Whatever. You can't do that on a special day on the calendar when you say Hallel. Okay.
In Purim, I'm wondering about Purim because there's a chiyuv of Seuda. So how could you possibly?
You for sure can. Then you owe for sure. So you're mevatel simchas. The mitzvah. Yeah, no, for sure. If you give a tan, it's calm. But that's the same thing if it happens on Yom Tov, your dream or your Shabbos.
It doesn't have a chiyuv Seuda.
For sure, Simchas Yom Tov is maybe even more than on Oneg Shabbos is Oneg. Simchas Yom Tov is expressed through the food you eat.
It's more intuitive to me that Hanukkah. There's no chiyuv on Hanukkah to eat.
There is. Some people say that you're supposed to be married. It's not the full. It's not like in the Gemara, but you're supposed to have seuda to Yeah, and there. By the way, mentions the minhag to have even dairy on Hanukkah is mentioned there in Shulchan Aruch. It's the first simon in Hanukkah. Yeah. You should start the meal with dairy, and then you transition to fleishings.
Dairy and olive oil.
There you go.
That's what we always have.
Yeah, there you go.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Let's take a look at Yud Aleph. So if you can't make up the makeup fast, the Tanis Taniso on Sunday, because it's one of these special days, so you should make it up Ad Acharkach. Push it off till later. You should make it as early as you can. So if it's Hanukkah, you have to wait till Hanukkah is over. But when Hanukkah is over, get it done. Right? Same thing. As soon as you can do it, you should make up the second fast. Yud Beis. Mechatzi. Oh, did we read this part in the Yesh Omrim? No, we don't think we did. So let's go back up on top now. Did we? We didn't do this. No. Second to last line in the middle of the line, and after the period where it says Yesh Omrim. Okay, everyone see it there in the Ramah. Okay, the Ramah writes Yesh Omrim Mishi Yashen Shnas Harayim v'Chalam Lo Chalom Ra. You take an afternoon nap on Shabbos. You think, oh, this is so great. 2 of my kids are in camp. I never done this in 10, 11 months. Let's see what a nap feels like. You're going to camp tomorrow, yeah. All right. So I take an afternoon nap, and it turns out it's a nightmare. Chalom lo chalom ra. You have a terrible dream, and you wake up in a cold sweat. It's you saw something in your records or file or whatever about whatever you were describing before, David. You wake up and you have something terrible. Yisane mechatzi hayom al chatzi alayla. You should fast from the middle of the day until the middle of the night. So you have a dream at 3 in the afternoon. You have a fast from 3 till 3 a.m. Halachic time. Okay. V'az v'avdil, and then you'll make havdalah.
You get up in the morning, 3 o'clock, and
Make havdalah. So he says you should fast from the middle of Shabbos, from the time you had this horrible nap dream, during the nap, until whatever. You got 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So half the night, and then make havdalah. Uvayom harishon yisane keilu hisana kol yom hashabbos. And then on Sunday, you're still going to make up the whole thing with a fast day on Sunday, because you're mevatel oneg Shabbos at least for part of the day.
But you probably can eat between 3 and 6.
But between 3 and 6, so there's a halachic discussion about that. Yes, there is a discussion about this question about, does the Tanit start at night, or can you wait till the next morning? Correct. I believe your diuk is correct that you could make havdalah. You'll drink the grape juice. You'll eat something, and then when the light comes out in the morning, fast day for you. That's correct. Yeah, Jeffrey. Yeah.
If somebody has an meaning it says like an afternoon nap. It doesn't say a day nap. It says afternoon nap. So you're only fasting for a portion of Shabbos, especially when the days were short, right? So you miss 3 hours of Shabbos.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
That is enough to sort of
look what he says. Let's look what their Mishnah Berurah says.
How do you define even fast? When you wake up, I mean,
you don't eat.
You don't eat. I mean,
No food, no
So good, exactly to the point.
You don't have
So,
salad.
this is to the point, exactly. So good. Everyone made their point. Let's take a look what he says here. Look at Yud Beis. Nechatzi hayom v'af al pichein eno mispalo anenu achar kach. By the way, it wasn't like the whole day was a fast day where you would normally say anenu, right? That's what you add in Shema Kolenu, right? You would add it at some point. You'd find a way to add anenu into your tefillah. Hashem should answer me on this fast day. That we should be forgiven and all the tzara, right? Ha'ona be'es tzara. Hashem answers us in the time of tzara, and this is exactly what a tzara is. Okay.
Normally, you would add that on Shabbos.
Yes, if you were fasting a Tanit Chalam, it would say Anein. We're gonna get to that actually. It comes up in the later part of the simon. You're right. We're gonna look. You'll see in Sifav when we get there. In Sifav, he talks about where do you put Aneinu in the tefillah on Shabbat. Guys, make sure you're sitting, okay? Shh. Okay, now take a look at Yod Gimel. He says the Yesh Mekilim Shalo Yisane Rak Ad Halayla. Some are Mekel to say just fast until the end of Shabbos. That's the end of the day. The day in Judaism into the Jewish calendar in Halacha resets at night. So the Yesh Lismoch Al Zeh Kishaya Yom Tov B'Motzai Shabbos. And there are those who are so mech on this, particularly when it's Yontif after Shabbos. Are you going to fast at the beginning of Yontif? That makes no sense. You can't doing that. That's not a good idea. V'im cholam lo b'tchilas halayla v'ninar. If you have a dream at the beginning of the night, so you have one of those things where it's Friday night, you fall asleep, and you didn't go to bed yet. You fell asleep at the table. You fell asleep at whatever couch. Exactly. It wasn't the end of the night for you, and then you awaken, and obviously the assumption here is that you had a bad dream during that nap. Hashla hechmir shelo litom gam balayla. The shla is like you're done. The fast starts right now, and then you got to continue into the next day of Shabbos. But it starts already at night, guys. Shh. Avishai. Hey, you want to sit on my lap? That's fine. Okay. Okay. Ve'im chalam lo betchilas halayla v'ninar shlo hechmer shlo litam v'am halayla v'heviu hamager b'simin taf kuf samach daled. And this the Magen Avraham brings his opinion as well that you would start fasting right then and there at night. And the Eli Rabbi is like, no. There's no starting the fast at night. Fast days don't start at night. The only two exceptions are Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Fast days, otherwise, when you take on a personal fast, the minor fasts, whatever, they are only daytime fasts. And so he's like, no, you can't start, a new rule here. And he says, Shahatanis eno maschil rakishi ya'ir hayom. And this goes to your point that if, let's say, the fast of the Chatzi Yom fast, this is here he's talking about what happens if you have a bad dream at night already, like early in the night. But certainly if you have a bad dream during the day, and then you have the opinion that you go till the middle of the next night, right? It's and then you have to make up another fast the next day. There's no like, oh well, because I was already in a fast and there's another fast coming. No, there's no connection, because really nighttime is not that extra half in the night. That's a different halacha. It carries over from the day before. But when you're talking about that day itself, the fast days only begin in the morning. Yodalid, and this goes now to I think everybody else's point that was just made a moment ago about what do you mean if you're the afternoon? It's just like you're not going to eat for a couple hours. And now let's make it even better. Vafilu, he says in Yodalid, im chalam lo achar shekvar kiyem seuda shlishis achar chatzi hayom. I already had shalashus. I went to the early mincha. I ate shalashus and I took a nap in the afternoon. By the way, great move. And we don't have this option here, but if you're ever in a place where there's an option for an early mincha, it's great. You got off an early mincha, and you're good. Like you're good until after Shabbos, and you have your shalashus at leisure in the afternoon, not like stuffing it in at like the last moment, and then you go to the night, take a nap. And then
we have that.
Yeah, I'm sure in Israel.
There's one at 1:30 or something. There's a 5 o'clock.
There's not a lot of schools.
Right. Yeah, some bigger communities. They'll have like I don't want Woodmere, for example. When we go to the 9 o'clock, there's a 2 o'clock mincha on Shabbos afternoon. I usually, by the way, if I'm able to, I try to go to it because also it helps because now I can be with them, during bedtime instead of I go mincha and it's shalashudis and it's mariv and it's okay. I'll show up for mariv. Yeah, so it's a different ball game. Anyways, so let's say you're in that kind of
Excuse me, Rav. The Seudah Shlishit is eating after he woke up or before he took the nap?
No, in this situation, you ate the shalashudas before you took the nap. So you've actually fulfilled all your mitzvos of eating. In theory, you don't need to eat halachically again this day. You fulfilled your mitzvah. And now v'im kain afilu below chalom ibay shelo lechol od harishus biyado. Look, if you forget the dream, if you didn't want to eat, the rishus is in your hand. Their permission is in your hand to do so. Mikol makom kevan shehis ana l'shem ta'anis. Since he's fasting, for the sake of I'm fasting. This is official. If you even fast for 1 minute, because you're fasting on Shabbos, that is not allowed. You're being mevatel the mitzvah of oneg Shabbos by declaring yourself in a state of fast. And therefore, even though he didn't have any chiyuv to eat anymore, it could be there's 2 hours left in the day, an hour left in the day. That is enough to say you need to now have a makeup fast on Sunday. The whole day, correct. Now, that concludes Sif Daled. All right. I know that was probably that was not probably the most practical Sif we've ever learned. But now let's get really in the weeds of Tanis Chalam. Yeah, Michael, very quickly.
What would we consider a non-sleep?
Okay, good. We're going to talk about that right now, Sif. That's the right on target. Okay, good, Michael. Excellent. Right on target. Here we go. Sif Yesh Omrim. So you could go home, by the way, David, and you could tell her just once.
There's only one.
Oh, he has it. There are those that say you don't have to. You don't fast Tanis Chalom on Shabbos, particularly. You want to do it on Tuesday, but Shabbos, you got to make sure it's the real deal. Kodesh Baruch Hu is sending you a sign, and until you see it a third time, you don't really know for sure that this is meaningful. Okay, you tell her. Okay.
Yeah.
Now. That's the Yesh Omrim that's here. That comes from the Mordechai. Okay, he quotes this in the name of the Maharam. Okay, now the second opinion that's quoted here. Okay, the Yesh Omrim Shabazman Hazeh in our time Ein Lehisanos Tanis Chalom b'Shabbos. We don't do Tanis Chalom on Shabbos. They notice he says only Shabbos. He doesn't say we don't do Tanis Chalom. We don't do Tanis Chalom on Shabbos. She'eidanu bekim befitron chalomos leda ezetov ezra, because we are not bekim, we're not sufficiently knowledgeable enough, expert enough,
Without yourself.
in the interpretation of dreams to know which means good and which one is a bad. He says who are we to know these such things? So yes, maybe that dream that you were referencing, David, from 2 nights ago, maybe it's actually a sign of good. Right? You never know, right? We're not experts at understanding that what is good and what is bad. Okay? So that is what is quoted. It goes back in the name of Rabbeinu Kolonimus. This is very early Ashkenaz opinion. Actually, it quotes also from the Avi, who quotes the Shkein Kasa of Avi Ezra. So you have some early Ashkenaz, early Rishonim in Ashkenaz who are saying, we don't know, so don't do a Tanis Chalom on Shabbos. You want to do it on Tuesday? Go ahead. Now, the Ha'olam, he continues, Omrim shenimsa bisvarim kadmonim she'al shlosha chalomos mis'anim b'Shabbos. The world says that it's found in the you'll find this in the Beis Yosef. He quotes this that there's a sort of a shmua that there are people that say that there are some early books. I don't know what these books are though. I don't know.
So what is there?
No, that's where you find the source of this. He's telling you this. So that little test tells you, like, he mentions this in the Beis Yosef. What are these books? I haven't the slightest clue. But there are some Svarim Kadmonim, some early works, some books that say that on 3 types of dreams you would fast on Shabbos. Everything else, forget it. But there are 3 types of dreams that if it happens on Shabbos, then you would fast. This is what the Olam would say based on some ancient books that they used to look at. Here are the dreams. Ve'eluhein. Haroet Sefer Torah shenisraf. If you have a dream, and in the dream there's a Sefer Torah that's burning. Okay, that is a dream that if you woke up after seeing such an image, that even on Shabbos you would fast. Oh, Yom HaKippur b'Shas Ne'ilah. By the way, a lot of rabbis have this dream. Yom Kippur, you're dreaming about Yom Kippur at the time of Ne'ilah, as the gates are closing. Okay, although usually I think of that as a happy dream because Ne'ilah, almost done. But okay. Oh, and this is, I believe, this you're gonna say, well, there's 4 dreams here. I believe these 2 are. There's the O here in this one. There's a distributive property in the coming one, which is O koros beso O shinav shenaflu. You see the koros beso, the beams of your house. That's sort of keep the the structure, the key parts of the structure of the house are falling. You see your house, the beams, the key structural beams are falling, or you see your teeth falling. Okay, all right. So those are the 3 dreams that if you have those on a Friday night, no matter what, that's the one where you're going to have a Tanis Cholom on the next day. Now, there are those who add in extra things here. So those are the 3, and then there are some addendums to the 3.
Rob, that's 4.
Well, the Koros Beso and the Shinav, I think, are one type of dream where you see something that is falling. Otherwise, the list is not 3. I think that's why you have the word Naflu is distributed between the 2, right? It's Koros Beso, Shinav, Shinaflu, right? You see these things that are falling. Either it's your teeth or it's the beams of the house.
By the way, there's a story about Rav Moshe that at the end of his life, it published by his grandson that in his book that he went to the dentist. And he was very clear to the dentist not to remove his teeth completely, even though because he wanted to leave in enough teeth so that if he was going to be part of the Sanhedrin, because you need a certain number of teeth,
Right.
part of the Sanhedrin, that he didn't
They'd
want
be
to have
eligible.
So,
Yeah. Fascinating. That's interesting.
And then so it's very.
It will also come into play here in a second because if you have already some prior thoughts or knowledge about pain you're having in your teeth, comes up here, that maybe then you can ignore the dream. We're going to see this in a second. So if he already knew his teeth were whatever, and he would have had a subsequent dream, he probably wouldn't have needed to have a Tanis Chalom because. Yes, absolutely. So, take a look here. Let's keep going in the Shulchan Aruch. He then says, "V'yesh orim haroa Yom Kippur mafilu shelo b'shas neila." If you see Yom Kippur without neila, you're dreaming about Yom Kippur. Cold nidre. If you wake up in a cold sweat from cold nidre, you know it's time to take a fast. V'yesh orim haroa shekore v'Torah. Or if some people have add on here, like, if you see yourself reading from the Torah, you would have thought, what kind of a scary dream is that?
You didn't prepare it.
Right? If you didn't prepare. If you didn't prepare the laning, that's a very frightening thing.
Crazy.
V'yesh omrim haroa shenosa isha. If you see yourself under the chuppah, you see yourself getting married, you're marrying a woman, and this is the dream.
My wife wouldn't allow it.
Married to somebody else, and then he sees that. I'm not sure if that's the situation. I don't know. I'm not sufficiently a bucky in this particular area, so you're going to have to forgive me for not knowing every answer to this situation. Now, let's clarify, says the Shulchan Aruch. He wants to be very specific. He says, "V'ha deroa shinav shenaf." Let's go back to the teeth that are falling. He says, and that which we talked about, the teeth that were falling, dafka shinav, only the teeth. Your whole, I made mention of this because I said it's coming. Let's say your whole cheek with the teeth fall too, right? Because it's not your teeth, everything's falling down. You have a dream. You could dream crazy things. So you imagine, like the whole thing comes down, right? Then actually, Shalom Tofu. That's a good dream. I know it looks frightening in your mind, probably to imagine that. That's a good dream. Because you know why? It means that the people who are giving you bad advice are going to die. The people who are going to say bad advice to you, they're going to die. And then their whole mouth fell. They're talking. So they're gone. And so you're good now. So that's actually a good thing. So the next time you have a dream and you see your teeth and your whole cheek remove from itself from your face in the dream, you wake up, you go, oh, good, I can have a Suda today. Anywho, yeah. Venirali shehachalom she'amru beperek haroa shehem ro'im. If he said, this is the Mechaber now talking, that it appears to me that the dreams that are mentioned in Perek Haroa, which is the 9th Perek of Maseches Brachos. If you see, and where they say, oh, these are bad dreams, there's a whole parak. If you open up Brachos, it's a very long parak, very dense, very little Tosfos, very few Rashi even, right? And we kind of need Rashi to help you in that situation, and there is some, of course, but it's all about if you dream this, it's a siman ra. If you dream this, it's a good dream. If you dream that, so if you have any of the dreams that are mentioned in the Gemara, he says, which are known to be bad dreams, he says, Gam aleim nisanim b'shavos, then you should also fast on those. Now, take a look now. Let's say, well, I've never heard of anybody, I'm assuming, stealing assumptions, never heard of any who fast Shabbos for Tanis Chol. Somebody mentioned it was Jeffrey with you, which I don't know if you can know.
I asked my mom because that meeting, I remember her talking about it.
Yeah.
I think she would pass on Mondays and Thursdays.
On Mondays and Thursdays. Got it. Which comes up, by the way, in Tough Kuf Pay, that other sin which I was talking about. There are some people who have that's mentioned in that, and that talks about the Monday Thursday thing. But certainly the fast on Shabbos, for a chalom, I've never heard of such a concept of anybody doing it. Now, why not? sounds like maybe there are some dreams that, statistically speaking, at some point somebody would have had this happen to them. So take a look at Sif Katan Teslav in the Mishnah Berurah. V'af be'elu hashlosha, he says, even with these 3 fasts, and then there were some other suggestions too, but other ones you should add to that list. Ein lehisanos b'Shabbos elaim ke hatanis oneglo. Unless the tanis is an oneg for you, meaning it's like a delight for you. You go nafsho aguma alav. You're disturbed by the dream that you had. And ukashi yisaneh, and when you fast, yim nachas ruach. You're like, okay, I feel like I'm doing something spiritually to fix the situation. If that's you, then maybe we could talk about a fast. Now, I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I'm probably not in that category where, like, if I had a dream, I've had dreams. I don't remember my dreams too often because you have to sleep enough hours probably to remember certain dreams, and I don't do that very well. But if I've had some dreams, I'm like, oh, that was interesting, or being chased in a dream, or being something, whatever. You're like a little scared. I never like put more stock into it than, okay, I had a bad dream. And he says here, la'afuke imhu adam jelo kapid b'chalam ra. B'dafka, what I'm mentioning here. So what does this come to exclude? If you don't put any stock into a bad dream, you have a bad dream, it was a bad dream. That's all it is. Then you're not the kind of person who should be fasting on Shabbos. Maybe you should fast on a Tuesday, if that happens to you, but certainly not on a Shabbos. If it doesn't bother you, you should not fast if you have a bad dream on a Friday night. Okay, thanks. Shahatanis kasha alav, the fast is hard for you. So if you were, let's say you do believe in it, I really wish I could fast because I want to fix this, but fasting makes me feel so lousy. Umitztaer yoser b'ta'aniso, and I'm going to be in so much pain as a result of this tanis. More than the fast, more than the fear from the dream. The fasting is going to make me feel way worse than even if I just had to hold on to my fear all day of the dream. Asr lehisanos b'Shabbos, and it's prohibited from fasting on Shabbos. Uv'shem shla, in the name of the shla, kosvu acharonim write, she'af be'elu hashlosha hayaragil al harov lifsok shelo lehisanos b'Shabbos. So the shla would paskin when he was confronted by somebody who said, I had a bad dream on Friday night, Rebbe. What do I do? And he would paskin for this person, right? Most of the time he would say, don't fast, don't fast, don't fast. Rather pick 2 days during the week this week that you'll fast, one in correspondence to Shabbos and one in correspondence to Sunday, because had you fasted on Shabbos, you would have fasted on Sunday, and so now you'll make up both the fasts twice at some point during the week. But he said, don't fast on Shabbos. That was his psak halacha. That's interesting. You get his psak halacha. This again, the shla. Shla was also a little bit of a mystic. Like he was. This is kind of up the alley of somebody who might be a little more inclined like that. And he was like, no, don't fast on Shabbos. You'll make it up in a different way by doing 2 fasts during the week. Okay. Test Zion. Oh, yeah, sorry, Sidney, go ahead.
It's very interesting to note that when Rav Cairo and his ilk originally wrote about this, and they wrote all the different kinds of dreams you could have, by the time we reached the 20th century or the late 19th century, the Mishnah Berurah, the Chafetz Chaim, quotes the Rivish and says, Osur lehisanos b'Shabbos. Finished.
That's right. Yeah. Because if you don't think that this dream is more than just that, then what are you doing? Then it's like, at least if you believe the dream means something, okay, then something. But even that, we have to make up another fast, because if Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos, you have to fast another day for the Yom Kippur fast that fell out on Shabbos. No, because there we believe, and it's not just believe. We know it's the closing of the din, and so the fast that happens on that day is because our lives are hanging in the balance. So it is a fast for a good reason, even though it's being mevatel. But even though we're being mevatel oneg Shabbos, We're not being mevatel it for no reason. And the point is that Tanis Chalam on Shabbos is likely being mevatel mitzvahs oneg Shabbos for no good reason. But if you certainly don't believe that there is any good reason, then what are you doing? Then it's usher for sure. It's not. There's nothing to talk about.
And he's citing that you can't use your own opinion about something that you conjured up in your mind to set aside the Midoraisic concept of oneg on Shabbos.
Correct. Yes. By the way, just on that point about Doraisa, you reminded me. So Aruch HaShulchan even puts it more starkly. He's in this whole discussion. He says, if you have one of, you see Yom Kippur, you see the beams of your house falling with your teeth. By the way, why the beams? Just a word. Why the beams and teeth thing? What's the? Does he get to it? Oh, he's gonna get to it. I don't want to give it away. So you see one of these things. If he says, if you don't, einafsho aguma, you're not like, it's not bothering you that you had the dream. Whatever, it was a bad dream. I didn't like it, but it doesn't like. It's not. I can move on from it. He says, "Venira lahakel shalol hisanos tahabli hisanos b'Shabbos." To be makil here. Sorry, sorry. You should not fast because the fast on Shabbos is an isser deoraisa. He says here that to not eat on that's a machlokes. Fasting is fasting isser deoraisa or isser derabbanan on Shabbos. And he says you're talking about perhaps a deoraisa about fasting on Shabbos at the isser level because you're supposed to eat on Shabbos. So really, not just to your point that it's a very serious thing to fast on Shabbos for no good reason. All right. Let's go to Tes Zion, Sefer Torah. What is this whole symbolism behind the thing that's Sefer Torah? That's Nisraf. I don't mean I need to explain the symbolism. It's obvious, right? It's a bad thing to see. Torah is being burned and destroyed. V'hu adin. He just says also to add on here. V'hu adin tefillin. Sheyesh behen parashiyos Shabbat Torah. If you see tefillin burning, same thing. Because there are scrolls there in there that include Torah verses, and it's written on parchment the way a Torah would be. So if you see tefillin burning, the same halacha would apply. I believe actually he doesn't say it here, but that would make sense. Mezuzah is also a scroll with kedusha, and it's written in a very particular way, like a tefillin. Yeah. Aval neviim uksuvim mashma delo. But if it was a Navi scroll, a la our conversations from some point months ago or so, a Navi scroll or a Megillah scroll, right? If you see a Megillah burning, you wouldn't fast if that was the dream that you had. Umasha kosav shenisraf. What does it mean? Why does it have to be burning? Why not they see a Sefer Torah being ripped? No, it's dafka nisraf lafuke imroa shenafal miyado. Also a bad dream. Which, by the way, if it happened in real life, would require a fast. If you see a dream, if you have a dream where you see the Torah being dropped, you don't. It's only if it's being burned. Even though being dropped is, of course, also not a good thing. Yud Zayin Koros Beito. Uve Midrash Rabba Isa Shepasru Leisha Shetelet Zachar V'chein Havasla. Koros, the Midrash, the interpretation of this dream of Koros Beso is that your wife is going to give birth to a baby boy. You're like, what's the problem here? So this is an alternate explanation, saying like some people don't think that seeing that dream where you're, better yet,
Maybe it just means seeing the structure, not that it's fallen. Maybe he's just telling us if you see the roof structure.
It's the root, the foundation piece is falling here. So I think it actually is a bad siman for children, for your own children. Okay, some interpret this to be. He says here the Medrash interprets it. That it's no. It means that she's going to give birth to a boy, which is not a bad thing. But according to some, according to others, if you see this, it's a bad sign for your children, for like the safety of your children. Something bad might happen to them, and that's what's falling here. Where did I see that? And I think it has to do also with the teeth. Teeth also is a similar symbolism here. That if you see the teeth falling, let's keep going to the next one. Oh, Shina, ve'im hayalo ke'ev shinayim lo yisanek k'mo kasav hataz b'meharher. Right, that's what I was saying before. That if you have a toothache, you already have pain, and then you have a bad dream about teeth falling out because you're worried your teeth, because you're probably thinking in your mind, oh gosh, are my teeth going to fall out? Then you don't need to fast, because the reason you're having a bad dream is because you're already thinking about it. Like we talked about that last week. That if you're already thinking about something bad, and then you dreamt about it, that's not a chalom worthy fast, because you were thinking about it. That's not a Kadosh Baruch Hu put something in your brain, in your dream. Where is this? I think it means that there's danger to your child. That's what's falling, and that's why. Oh, I think it was in the extra comments here. That's where it was. I think. Hold on. It's 20. It's 32 maybe. Right. Because if you don't have children, yeah. Yes, correct. If you don't have children, this is the Nebeir Halacha in Oshina. He says that if you don't have children, sons or daughters, you don't need to be machmir and fast. So the whole thing with the teeth, and I think also the koros beso is something bad about it. You don't need to fast. That's sort of the interpretation of the bad part of the dream. So if it can't come true, then you know it was for sure nonsense.
Could be that you'll never have children.
That's not the interpretation of the dream. The interpretation, again, according to Chazal, that kind of Perek Haroa kind of situation, is that your children who are there will fall. Like literally, and that's why some say that you don't need to be machmir. If you look by the way, if you look at the Be'er Halacha, I didn't want to read it because it was a little bit sad graphic. Oshina Patar, the explicit interpretation is Divnach uvnatach shachvan, that they would pass, like that something bad would happen to from the word shocheb, to lie down, right? Nisrabar to mean misha ein lo banim ubanos ein lahacher v'lisanos b'Shabbos. Okay, that's a particular dream that happened to Rava. Maybe he got a bad interpretation because he went to it's the whole story of the Gemara. He went to a dream interpreter. Okay, bad suggestion. Wow. Don't go to people to try to interpret dreams unless they're Yosef. Okay. Anyways, he says that maybe some explain that Gemara, he got a bad interpretation of his dream. Rava did, because he didn't pay the guy money. And if he had paid him money, he would have actually given him a good interpretation.
Ridiculous.
So, anyways, it sounds like some nefarious business going on here that ensnares people's brains. Okay, Yud Tes Shachalomos She'amru. Okay, so here we're talking about, this is if you see the kind of dreams that are mentioned in Perek Haroeh. So he says, only if it bothers you. If you see a dream that was mentioned in the Gemara and it doesn't bother you, other than the fact that it was like, I didn't enjoy that, but you're not like, nafsho aguma means like, like you're, you feel bad. You're disturbed, and it's not going away, and it's like your nefesh is like you can't function. Anyways, so that's only the time that you would bother even jumping into this. Shehem ro'im, that they are bad. The ones mentioned in Perek Haroeh, v'lo yis'ana al chalomo shehem hefseid mamon. Now, very important here. This is about the priorities of life. Because you have a bad dream that's interpreted in the Gemara as meaning you're going to have some financial troubles, right? Then you don't fast on such a dream. Only the kind of dream that you have to be mechal Shabbos. People are in danger, sakana, your life's in danger. That's when you can fast. But if you're talking about the bad dream was that it meant that I'm gonna that the stock market is gonna go down and I'm gonna lose all my money. If that's the interpretation, you're not going to fast on for that, even if you believe that it's bothering you to your core. Okay,
we're still referring to Shabbat, right? Specifically.
For sure for Shabbos. Again, during the weekdays, if you want to be makil and you don't want to take a chance. You had a bad day. I also think that if you don't think that it means much, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Okay. Chaf Aleph. Gam aleihem v'chulei. You have to also fast on these ones that I mentioned in the Gemara. V'tzarech ha'adam l'dakdek. Sheharbe dvarim holchem achar ha'ashem balashon yon shinra. Right? Ayin sham be'gemara. A person needs to be very careful. Medakdek. You have a dream. What did I see in my dream? Oh, I saw a cat. Oh, cat in Aramaic is shunra, and that's similar to another word that can mean something. And therefore, so you need to be a language expert. He says here, because there are a lot of things that go after the name. By the way, I'll give you a different example about this that doesn't have to do with the dreams, but you know how on Rosh Hashanah we have the simonim that some people have. I don't, it's some of them are mentioned in the Gemara as like many people do. Which one is the one? What's the one for leeks? Why do we have leeks on one of the symbols of Rosh Hashanah? Why do we which are called karti in Aramaic?
Even or something?
Well, very good. Kartu soneh. Why? Because it's a play on words. Because karti and yikartu, the Hebrew of it is yikartu soneh, that they should cut the enemy should be cut down. But karti in Aramaic means leek. So because you have the linguistic connection, this is where Yehiratson, that a lot of them are play on words. By the way, the apples and honey is the least play on words. That's a play on the taste, right? And it's not even a play on. You want like the apples and honey. What's the other ones? There's
symbolism in the head of the fish.
Silka, right?
Head of the lamb.
Right, but there's the words here, like the word silka means beets. You ever have beets? One of them. I have beets, yeah. Right? She's stalku something. You should remove again. Remove our enemies, because the word silka in Aramaic means beets, and in Hebrew, yisalek means to remove. So a lot of it is a play on words. So similarly here, you have to know your language. That you see something that has an Aramaic translation, and then it's like its Hebrew friend. And so you basically here, you really need to be an expert if you don't try to attempt to fast this stuff. Again, not an easy topic to understand and to really fully get into. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue with Vav next time. That starts up with the Anenu. If you do fast on Shabbos, about saying Anenu, where do you say it? And then what if, we go back to sort of the question about, well, what if I want to push off my meal because I'm still full from the night before? I don't want to eat lunch. I'm still like plotting from the night before. I didn't feel like I fully digested it. We're going to talk about can you push off your lunch a little bit? Forget the Tanis Chalam now. Can you just push off your lunch if you're feeling really full? And then what happens if you are in a situation where there's an imminent danger, right? Think about, October 7th happened on a Shabbos, right? So you're in an imminent danger. Chas v'shalom, we should never know of such things, but you're a person in an imminent danger situation, or you know of people who are in imminent danger, Jews who are in imminent danger. It's on Shabbos. Can you daven for them? Can you cry out for them? Can you blow shofar on Shabbos when they are in imminent danger because of people are being chased by listim? Literally, that's like it's mentioned here. Can you what can you do? What can't you do? Let's say a city gets surrounded by enemies. What can you do? What can you not do on Shabbos in terms of crying out as a word to God? That's how we're going to end this simon. So that's what we'll look forward to for next week to talk about as we are getting close to the conclusion of the simon. All right.
Rav,
Yes,
Rav, yes, Rav. Just as a brief aside, I'm wondering if you